Welcome, everybody. Star Delta 9 coming at you today with another cracked wide open video. Hope you guys are doing well. Is there enough light and can you hear me okay? I hope you can. Setting it up is really quite opposite on the screen, so I hope you can see okay and you can hear me okay. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Star. This is another video on Cracked Wide Open. This is going to be a takeoff from the last one I did, so welcome back, everyone. So happy that you could join me here again today for another informative video on awakening our souls. Last week we spoke about our thoughts and emotions, remember? We discussed kind of how our thoughts and our emotions are fleeting. You remember I was talking about how it's like the wind outside the window. It's ever changing and they are meaningless unless we assign some sort of identity to them. So like me, my story, right? So if you did not see that video, I will post a link for that one and you can look at that one, but go under Cracked Wide Open series. There's plenty of videos there that you can already look at. I would appreciate that. It's very hot here today. The winter did not want to give up, but today it did. So it's quite warm. So I appreciate you guys really so much for spending time with me today. It means a lot to me that you watch. It shows me that the awakening process has already begun in you. Otherwise, you'd click off. So this week, I want to discuss how to observe our thoughts and the emotions before they cause a response within our bodies and cause a negative act or reaction from us, right? I'd like to share some of the modalities that I use personally in my practice that might be helpful for you, and because they've been very helpful for me. And there are ones that I use in other videos that I discuss, and I'll discuss some of them here and some I won't discuss here because they're not relevant to this topic. So I've discussed that we are not our body, we're not our mind, we're not even our thoughts. This body is a conduit. It's a vehicle. It's no different than your car. If you want to think about it in that simple terms, it gets you from point A to point B. The mind allows us to think, to write, and to use, to learn, and to gain wisdom. Right? Other videos I've discussed that too. So I want to talk today about what is an emotion. So if anybody has any questions, please sound off in the chat. Let me see if I can pull it up. For some reason, it's not showing. Let me pull it up on my phone. Why is that? I must be doing something incorrectly on my Mac to make it do this. I'm sorry. I just want to be able to talk to you guys. Hello. Okay. So if you have any questions and just leave them in the comment section, because on my screen I can't see that section, but on my phone I can. So I want to talk a little bit about what an emotion is. Simply put, it's a form of energy. It has a life energy force all of its own. You can't see it, yet it's there. It takes on its own life force. Do you guys remember me talking about the Judy Jetson, right? The robot, the autoplay. That's kind of the life force it takes on. So it's kind of like an entity of its own, if you will, within our mind, okay? I called it the Judy Jetson robot because I used to get up in the morning and push autoplay. I would do things before I even thought about doing them. it was just a normal process. It was a habit. It was a habitual thing I did. The minute I moved something to the other side of my room, the alarm, or slept on the other side of the bed, my egoic mind began to bark at me, right? And so the thought that I had really meant nothing to me until I assigned meaning to it. And the minute I assigned meaning to it, then it gave me an emotion. And that emotion generally would cause me to react or respond in a negative outcome for myself and for the people around me. So emotions and our thoughts are really just an influx of energy fields. I'm sure you've walked into a room and you've said to yourself, I feel the energy in here is very tense. Or you've walked into a room and you've seen someone that was very positive and very well lit up, and you said, oh, I want what they have. So you can feel that energy when you walk into an environment, right? But the emotions and the thoughts that we're having that come to us, like the fleeting wind that comes, those are influxes of energy fields. Maybe it's yours. Maybe it's the collective's. Maybe it's someone in the room. Maybe it belongs to the person you're with. Who knows? But based on how it makes you feel, think, and act, it can run you just like an entity. Remember, guys? Just like the Judy Jetson. All you got to do is push autoplay. I'm sure you've walked into a room and said to somebody, well, I'll get there. Give me just a second. When this happens, what we do is, but based on how it made us feel, how it made us think, right? First it did is made us think something. And that thought that we were thinking created some sort of emotion, and it usually was in our psychological body or our physical body. And then we were responding to it, right? That's due to the limited habitual mind pattern we have about ourselves or situations or beliefs or systems, the way we were raised. So it can act quite profound like an entity, causing us to react maybe by, I don't know, bursting out into anger, maybe fear, maybe anxiety, maybe depression, maybe we isolate. It's kind of a, how can I explain this in a layman terms to where it means something in the nursing field and you'll understand it? Do you know how something overlaps upon itself and it kind of reinforces itself? That's what your thoughts do. Your thoughts, if they're bad, good, or indifferent, doesn't matter, okay? It creates you to create an emotion in your psychological or your pain body, and it's always the same one, the same emotion, that's because that thought pattern is a learned thought pattern from habitual mind pattern you've had that you were raised with, that you learned, that you think, and it causes an emotion in your body. You'll react according to that emotion. And sometimes, most of the time, that emotion is very negative. It's harmful to you. You beat yourself up. Why should I even try? I'm worthless. I can't do anything. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? Me, my story, right? Those things will cause us to react and cause some major outbursts. I know for me, I would react out of anger and fear, not so much anxiety. I also acted out in depression and isolation. I remember making a comment saying, oh, well, I'll just go isolate. The hell with everyone else. I'll show them. It didn't show anybody anything. It harmed me. It didn't show them anything. They didn't care, right? So the only person I was harming was myself. So, but the emotional outbursts that I had of the anger and the fear that caused me to isolate like that were fear of being accepted, fear of being enough, fear of being able to measure up, to be the same or as someone else, right? That's our ego. That's a good thing to have as long as it's not running us on an egoic mind pattern, right? The negative thoughts cause a negative feeling, and that negative feeling causes a negative outcome, right? And then that negative outcome will cause a problem, and then you'll think another negative thought, and it'll feed back onto itself, and it'll reinforce your emotion, and you'll get more angrier, more anxious, more fearful, and you'll have another thought and another and another. And so again, like I was saying, you're not your mind, you're not your body, you're not your emotions, you're not your thoughts. Think of it as the wind outside your window. It's ever changing. You're going to have a thought after a thought after a thought after a thought after a thought. We're human beings. The reason we have a brain is so we can think, right? But we don't have to beat ourselves up with a negative mindset that we were taught when we were coming and growing up, right? We didn't have to do that. In recent videos, I discussed how energy is taken into the body through your chakras. Through chakras and through pathways. I also mentioned how thoughts are fleeting and like the wind outside your window, and they don't mean anything. The minute you assign an identity to the thought, you identify with it in some way, shape, form, fashion, you've now assigned an identity to it. That's me, that's I, that's my thought. I feel this way, okay? Recent videos, I've talked about that. They're just fleeting. If you don't engage them, remember I told you guys it's like walking the dog? Because they're fleeting. And another one's going to come. And another one, and another one, and another one. And think about how exhausting that gets. That you have to engage and react and respond to every thought you have. You don't have to. It's consciousness that's thinking through you, the vehicle you are, because consciousness wants to have something manifested through you. You're a sentinel being that was brought here to do your soul's path. So consciousness is thinking through you to encourage you to gain wisdom, to learn, and to stay in presence and ground yourself in the vertical, right? In the vertical, and stay present, stay conscious, right? It's very, very important to be able to if you try to wrap your brain around this analytically, you won't be able to. Because you cannot, I don't know how to say that. If I say these are glasses, you identify with them as glasses, right? I can't tell you this that I have is what God looks like, or creator, or source, or divine, or what. I can't. It's impossible. You know why? Because it's not a form. It's not a singing bowl. It's not a lighter. It's not a cup. It's not a form. It's not a construct. Okay? It's a feeling. It's a feeling. And the minute you feel it, you will know what I'm talking about. In its consciousness that's right here inside you right now, and you just don't know it's there. You just don't know. You're just not aware. That's why they call it awareness. Consciousness is going to use us as conduits, tools, to do our soul's path. Let's say you get off your soul's path. You don't even know what it is, but you're in your 20s and you wanted to do something, and now you're 35 and then you didn't accomplish it. It was real important to you. You kind of veered off somewhere, or life veered you off, right? Consciousness puts us back on. Consciousness puts us back on track, back onto the soul essence of who you are. You are not your mind, your body, your soul. You are. Oh, I got to figure out a way to say that. I really do, because it is so profound. I'm telling you, it's so profound. And this is important. And I thought these are the things I'm thinking. And this is why I do it on the fly when I'm going through this stuff, okay? Because I'm dealing with emotions and thoughts and egoic reactive patterns, okay? Because it's residual in my bodies, my psychological body and my pain body, because I have a heavy pain body, okay? If you could just for a second, 1 second, just try to leave all of the analyticals out of it and not try to understand it, but do some of the modalities to bring you into the essence of oneself, you will feel it. And you will do it more and more and more because you'll want to go back there, because it's the most unconditional love you have ever felt in your entire life, and you've been searching for your entire life. It is joy, happiness, and bliss. It is nirvana. Nirvana. And you just rock with consciousness. Okay. And you no longer have the patterns that you believe that you were taught by your parents, by your upbringing, mine personally, when I had my spiritual awakening. None of those things they taught me were true. Not one. Not one. Is it my parents' fault? Mm-mm. My parents did the best they could with what they had. Not their fault. They didn't know any better either. That's what the Lord means when he says, turn the other cheek. They know not what they do. Awareness. Can't have awareness if you're not aware. Okay. So it's very important to me to get this to you guys as best I can while I'm going through it, because I want you to see the authenticity of what's happening to me, and that this is your God-given right. It's everyone's. It's everyone's. And so I just want to say that the thoughts that themselves, they don't mean anything until you assign a meaning to it. Okay? Now, the meaning can be good, the meaning can be bad or indifferent to you, based on you, i.e., your habitual mind patterns of thoughts, how they make you feel personally, the level of emotional and physical emotions you feel on a psychological and physical level. Okay, those are all personal based emotions, feelings, and thoughts based on your habitual mind patterns that you were taught during your upbringing. They should teach this shit in school, in kindergarten. Because how those thoughts, those emotions, those things that we go through, how they make you feel, sometimes it can be devastating. I've had things happen to me where I thought it was the end of the world on an emotional and psychological level. Okay? So what's the emotion or the thought? What is it? Ask yourself that. What is the thought I'm having? And what is that thought having causing me to feel like? Ask yourself that. Inside, in your mind's eye, in silence, ask yourself that. And how is it making you feel mentally, emotionally, or even physically? Because I know I've said, oh, I'll show you, I'll go isolate, I'll go do this. And I never showed anybody anything but the pain that I was causing myself from isolating. They didn't care. And usually they're negative and not very good for us, right? And then that's because these thoughts that we have are generally based on, like I've stated a million times, a habitual mind pattern or a belief system you learned growing up. You were taught it. Your ideologies, your beliefs, your religions, your upbringing, even your traumas or any old wounds, grievances even, grudges you hold against another person, all fear-based, by the way. Did you know that? All fear-based emotions. Those are all fear-based emotions. Have you ever had somebody say, where someone says, oh, that doesn't bother you? And yet it bothered them immensely. And you just don't have an opinion either way. You were unbiased about it. But your friends may say even to you, oh my God, that didn't bother you? Really? And they might even be upset with you that it doesn't bother you because they want you to have the same biased opinion that they have. And I'm sure you've had situations where there's been an event, it's been bothered by it and others have not, right? I've had them. You just don't have an opinion either way, right? And your friend identified with the thought and you didn't, right? You didn't identify with it at all or anything meaningful to you. And that's why you were unbiased. And that's why they looked at you and said, well, what? You're not appalled by that? I mean, if you watch, they'll even ask you that because they believe you should carry the same belief. And if you don't carry that same belief or thought pattern, then something's wrong with you. There's an issue or surrounding this, whatever it might be. It's truly based on you and your individual soul's path, not them, right? So let's try some other examples. Let's say you think of a baby being born, okay? And it causes you to think of thoughts of love, compassion. I don't know. This creates an emotion of warmth within your body. You feel it, right? The warm, fuzzy feelings, you start to feel it, of motherhood, of bonding love with a child, right? That's positive reinforcement, okay? You've seen that with newborns where they have the latching on with breastfeeding and they're doing positive bonding reinforcement with the infant. They're teaching the infant positive reinforcement. The child has 5 senses, can't speak, doesn't understand analytically, and doesn't even know what an emotion is, but they have 5 senses, so they're being taught. And for the first 7 years of their life, they are just observing and learning what they're taught. Now from 8 on, they're going to repeat everything they were taught, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So let's take another one. Let's take another thought you think. Let's say you think this thought. I'm never going to get there. I am not smart enough. Well, this thought is probably going to cause a negative feeling in your body, emotions of you feeling worthless, cowering down, not working and operating at your fullest potential. It's going to create an emotion that has a negative connotation attached to the thought, and it always produces a negative response within your body. And now you are off, boom, and you are operating on the Judy Jetson's autopilot on a program you were taught. That's why I'm trying to tell you, if you can try to learn something different. We are creatures of habit. I'm going to stand right here and put both my hands up and surrender and stand first in line. I am a creature of habit. I hated change. I bucked resistance. I was stubborn as the cows that wouldn't move off the street. Okay, so I get it. But I've explained that the mind cannot, and this is key. So if you can try to remember this, your mind cannot differentiate between an actual event that's occurring or a thought. It doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know the difference. So you can think the thought of the baby, like I was just saying. Your mind does not know if you're having that actual baby and it's bringing about those emotions or if it's from a thought. The mind doesn't know. So if you ever put anybody in my unit and you take them and you run a CT scan on them and they've been in an accident and there's no brain activity, there's no pain in the brain. Once the brain is dead, it's dead, right? There's no oxygen to that portion of the brain, right? So there's no brain activity. The brain activity we have are the neurons and the electrons that are working together. I call them the freeway. That's how we learned it in school. The freeway, the information highway, right? It's like a toll system that you put your dollars in and you drive through, right? Your brain is intricately taking in input, sensory input, 5 senses, hearing, touch. We've all done it since the day we were born. We relied on our parents for the first, 5 years for our food, our comfort, our love, our joy, our happiness, right? We looked and watched our parents immensely. If you ever watch a child under the age of 7, they are intently looking, and it's almost like they have eyes in the back of their head and they can spin their head around in a circle because they're observing every single thing. Why? Because they're recording in the Broca center, the memory center of their brain. They're recording memory of what their mother and their father or their siblings are doing, how they're doing it, how they went about it, did it work out, and they're watching and learning from it. And even if it was bad, it doesn't matter. The child doesn't know that. That's just what he's learning and what he's being taught, right? So you have to try to break that negative. I don't even think you need to break a negative pattern. I think what you have to do is, if you'd like, let's use that again as an example. If you say, I'm never going to get there, I'm not enough, this thought's going to cause a negative feeling in your body called an emotion. And that negative thought and that emotion always, quotations, will produce negativity response within your psychological body or your emotional body based on your habitual mind pattern, uprearing, belief systems, religions, the isms, all those things, right? But what's profound when you have a spiritual awakening is that you realize the veil gets pulled down. And when I say the veil gets pulled down, the veil gets pulled down for a couple reasons. When we enter life, right, we are going with all the gusto. We're learning, going straight forward, and we're not stopping. We're creating, going to school, getting a career, having a family, getting married, buying a home. We're doing all those things, okay? When you reach midlife crisis, maybe menopause, I don't know what they call it these days. I don't know what they call it. Let's just say you get to your midlife, 50s. You're no longer propelling yourself forward in life by 50. At least I wasn't, okay? I would say each year I would get older. I wished I would have done this and I didn't do this and I should have done this, but I did this, right? And by the time you get a specific age, those things are no longer important to you because those things are what causes, I don't want to say it that way. Those things caused a very huge negative mindset in my body, and I had to measure up to people, places, and things all the time. And I'll tell you what, every time I let them down. Every time. I couldn't please everybody all the time, and I could only please some of the people some of the time, right? And I was a nurse for 40 years, so I got my ass kicked, and I did it all on my own. And that's what it caused for me. Samsuria. And it chokes me up because it's painful. It's painful. And if I can stop one day, 1 hour, 1 minute of someone else's pain, of them having to go through what I went through, and give them an easier route to get there, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I don't care who likes it. I'm doing it. So I know for a fact, because I'm on the other side. And people can say, well, she might be crazy. She might have lost her mind. But they can say whatever they want to say. Okay. But one, they're labeling. They're labeling. That's like saying this is a cup. You shouldn't be labeled. I can look at something. I can look and observe and stay in consciousness in the essence of myself and not label. I can sit in nature and look at a tree and I can say, oh, that's a beautiful flower, or that's this type of rose, because my brain knows how to think, right? But the minute I assign attachment to whatever it is I'm looking at based on a habitual mind pattern I was taught from the past, it always caused me pain. It never caused me happiness. And if it did cause me happiness, it was very short-lived. And then I was off to the next thing, the next shiny thing. Ask anybody. You buy a brand new car, and within a year, that car, you don't want it anymore. You know, you're off to the next thing, seeking your joy, your love, your happiness in people, places, and things, living vicariously through people, places, and things. I'll do this when I get, or I'll do it when my girlfriend always said to me, I'm going to have a baby when I have this much money in the bank. I said, girl, you're never going to have that much money in the bank before you have a baby. Something's always going to come up. Just have the baby. But it was her way of resisting wanting a child. She never wanted a child. And the man that she was with wanted one desperately. So I've explained many different times to you guys that your mind, again, will not be able to differentiate from a thought or the actual event that's occurring. Because if it makes an emotion, the thought creates an emotion, you're going to be off and going. It's just a thought. It's just a thought, right? Fake it till you make it. Where did that come from? I think that came from AA or Narcotics Anonymous or something. Because I remember when I went to those meetings, that's what they said, fake it till you make it. I'm like, what does that mean? I used that saying. I would fake it until I make it, right? It's crazy. I use the same analogy all the time. I mean, you heard the saying, what you eat is what you'll become, right? There's no difference, spiritually speaking, right? What you think is what you're going to manifest in your environment, in your life. What I think, I become, good, bad, or indifferent. It will manifest in my life in a negative, positive, or unbiased way. It's all generally based on that habitual mind pattern you have, that negative thought. And these patterns cause a reaction in our body that cause a negative response. And generally that negative response hurts you and your significant other, your child, your family, or whomever that you're with. These patterns cause the reaction in our bodies. It's a negative. It's like a biofeedback system. The more thoughts you have, the more emotion it creates. Then the more bad thought you think, and the more anger you get, and that it just keeps feeding it back onto itself until pretty soon you're just absolutely livid, and you can't. You just got to leave the room, right? So how can we begin to become aware and observe thought before it causes an emotion in our body or a negative response that may or may not be harmful for me? I'm going to say become aware. Become aware. If you are aware, you can begin to transform this negative energy and you will transmute it. And it will transmute off of your psychological body and your physical body, and it will be replaced with consciousness, with light. Negative emotions and emotions are energy patterns in and of themselves. And some of them that we have are very, very deep-seated ones that you may not even be aware you have. Some patterns or some beliefs or emotions that you have, you might not even be able to explain why you have those feelings in the first place, where they even came from. That's because maybe or maybe not even that they're yours, or they belong to the collective, or they belong to someone in your household or in your environment. We are all made up of energy, and the chakra systems are what utilizes our body to receive sensory input. Tactile, we're touching something. When you touch something and you touch your skin and you say, oh, my skin's soft, how do you know it's soft? How do you know your skin is soft? Because you feel it. So someone taught you what softness felt like, right? Kindness, love, right? So if you think about the things that I'm saying to you, negative emotions are energy patterns. And if you're taught a negative emotion, thought pattern that creates some Surya in your life, that's because you were taught that. And it might be deep-seated and you might not even know it's there or why you're even acting or behaving that way in the first place. And you may even say that to someone. But you have to remember, as the thoughts come in, I go into rooms. I can go into a room as a dinner house and be waiting for a table, and I can pick up the energy of the sentinel beings in the room. I know who's having a bad day. I know who's doing well. I know who's arguing. And it's because I'm that in touch intuitively. But it's not me. It's consciousness through me. All I'm doing is staying aware, vertical, grounded. If you look at the cross, this is this world. That's God. That's vertical. That's presence. That's staying vertical. That's staying grounded. So if you can become aware, okay, I have that thought. I have a thought. I'm aware I'm having that thought. I don't have to respond to it. I don't have to react to it. I can just make myself aware that I have it. And I guarantee you it'll leave as quickly as it came. The only reason it'll stay is because you're engaging it. And some may be deep-seated, and the minute you engage it, it's too late. You'll be off and running. You'll be off and running. So it takes diligence. It takes diligence on your part. But you wouldn't be here in the room listening to what I'm saying if you hadn't had a portion of you was not already awakened, because you wouldn't be listening, because you wouldn't want to hear what I'm saying. You wouldn't be ready to hear it. You'd click off. So becoming aware that you are not your thoughts, well, let me just say that it's a process. And each time you practice this, the one emotion, it will lessen. I'll use me as an example. I'm a really good codependent. My dad was an alcoholic and my mother was raised 2 girls, and both us girls learned how to pick men that needed fixing, or that were alcoholic, or there was something going on with them, because we thought we could fix them because that's what we were taught, right? And I can't fix anybody. I should have known that from the gate when I was graduated nursing school in 89, right? Because I had patients on my trauma bay that I couldn't fix, and I couldn't do anything about it. I was powerless. But as a codependent, I didn't know I was codependent. I didn't know I was doing that. I didn't know. I did not know. So if I didn't know, it's no different than an awakening. If you seek an awakening, it's not coming. Anything you seek is not coming. Oh, I want $1 million. I want $1 million. I want to win the lotto, win the lotto, win the lotto. It's not coming. Because whatever you seek is not coming. Because by the very essence, you're telling the universe you're lacking something. And so the universe is going to give you more of what you say you don't want. It's not going to give you money. So if I kept attracting men in my life or people in my life that needed fixing, and when I couldn't fix them, it was my fault. I was the one that had the problem. And that's very debilitating to a person. It made me feel horrible about myself. And whoever told me I could fix anything? I'm not shit. My mother taught me that. And she was a good codependent. I remember asking her, why don't you leave this man? What are you doing? And my mother died alone in her bed. And my dad was gone with some other lady. And it was, she never remarried. She never dated. She never did anything. She loved him so much. And but that's the era she was raised in. So she didn't know any better. It's not her fault. That's what she was taught by her mom. Right. And so, of course, she's going to teach that to her girls. And so my sister's in for a big awakening, because I know what mine is, and I know what mine has been. And it's been, don't get me wrong. I would not take anything back, and I would not redo it for nothing. I wouldn't change a thing, but it's been hard. It's hard. And my sister's going to have it hard. And I just told her, I'm here. I'm here the minute you need me. The minute you need me, I'm here. And I'll be here for her, right? So you have to. It's your part. It's our part. If you go into an auditorium, into a music hall, and they tell you to turn your cell phones off and your devices and be quiet, you're going to do it, right? Because you want to see the play or the music or whatever's going on. Ask yourself, what is the one reason I would practice mindfulness, presence? You have to ask yourself. You do not know what you're you don't know what you're missing, number one. And number two, you don't know because you don't know. And that's just it. You don't know because you don't know. You're not aware. And the minute you become aware, then you'll go, oh, holy shizzle. And you'll go, what the WTF? And you will do what I did, and you will run yourself to the emergency room, and you'll want them to lock you up, and you'll do all these tests, and you'll go do all these things because you'll know in your mind that you are the crazy person, right? No. And I'll tell you, you go and watch any of the gurus, any of the spiritual teachers that are teaching right now, psychosis or spiritual awakening. Some truth to that. The people on the street that are talking to themselves out loud, I think are saner than we are. I think they've probably had a spiritual awakening and could not integrate it because they didn't know what was happening to them. And this is very difficult if you don't know what's happening and you don't have anyone to help you integrate it. It's hard. Ask me. I know I've been doing it by myself for 2 years and 1 month. 2 years and 1 month so far. Okay. And the things that I have learned are very profound. I have transmuted so much off my body. There's no negativity on my body. There's some psychological residual that lies within my cells in my psychological bodies and my physical body. And if I am triggered, depending on the extent of the triggering, I am at this point capable of not allowing this mind to tell me something that's not true, that is an illusion. And I'm able to stay grounded in the vertical in consciousness. And the trigger drops to the floor like butter, transmutes off me and is disappeared. The only explanation I have for that is because it's God taking me through the darkness, showing me the dark, showing me the things I have been doing to myself to harm myself, and taking me into the light. You can't get to the light without going through the darkness. The one thing that if anybody asks me, I've been asked it a few times, but if they ask me again, I'm gonna keep saying it. The first thing you'll say to yourself is, I fucking didn't know. I had no idea. How come no one told me this? How come no one told me this? Because if they would have told me this, I would have been doing everything I could, right? It's the same thing. It's a conundrum. If they would have told me and I would have done everything they told me to do, I may or may not have had my spiritual awakening. When I had my spiritual awakening, do you know what I was seeking? Peace. Peace. My world was crumbling around me. My 30-year marriage around me, my whole life falling like a tower. And no one would tell me a word, not a word. So some people will go their entire life. And I thank you, God. I thank God that I got this before I am removed from this 3D world, because now I can prepare to meet my maker. I can prepare. I can sit in the kingdom of heaven with God. And when there is an action that's required, meaning I have to clock in to go to work to get a paycheck, I set the alarm clock, I get up, I shower, I go to work, and I clock in and I get my paycheck. That's a no-brainer. That's an action. The minute I clock out, I'm home and I am like rocking. People say when they see me, they say, you like, you don't have a care in the world. I don't. Do I have challenges? Yes. Do I have issues? Yes, just like everybody else's. But they are lessons to learn, to overcome. My challenges currently at this time is that I think that I can't manage myself as a single woman, because I'm fearful about that, because I've always been tied to a man. For 30 years, I've been tied to my husband, trying to fix him. 30 years. That's a long goddamn time. Okay. And so I thank God that I've gone through all of the stuff that I've gone through, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here where I am. And the fear that I have here about being a single woman in this world in 2021, are you kidding me? Anyone that knew me from the gate, from the time I was 16 years old, they would tell you, Star, she's shit. There's no stopping her. She ain't afraid of nothing. And that was a big old front I had. A big old front. I am the biggest child. I was naive. And this is why my story is important, because if it happened to me, I know it's happened to other women, and it's going to continue to happen to other women. My son's father passed away very young, had a massive heart attack in the bathtub. And then I raised my boy, and I didn't date, didn't marry, didn't do anything until I met my husband. I was 16 years old when I had my baby. When I had my son, I was 16 years old. I never dated. I never went to prom. I never did any of those things. I went from my son's dad, who passed away 7 years, married to him, to my current husband that I'm divorced from now of 30 years. So in my entire life, I've been married to two people. My 30-year marriage and my husband that had my son is by. My David, my beautiful godson, my son, his dad never even got to see his grandchildren. And so I've had quite a bit of stuff happen in my life that where I didn't live, I didn't travel, I didn't date. I was naive. Oh, God. I didn't know. And now I know. Okay. And all I can say is I thank God now I know, because I'm becoming aware that is what's brought my awakening. Because when I had this happen to me, you can ask anybody that was around me at the time. I went to spiritual center. I went to the counselor, to the pastor. Who else? To my friend, my very dearest friend, and my husband. Those are the 5 places I went to seeking peace of and someone to tell me what's happening in my life. What's happening? Because my husband, literally, his mouth was sewn shut. He didn't hear me, speak, or see me. Complete ghosting. Boom. Complete ghosting of 30 years. Do you think that's a coincidence? No. God shut his mouth and said, you've done enough. I'm awakening her. You're done doing what you're doing to her. Get the fuck out of my way. And he did. 4 months later, I was divorced. My home was sold, sitting in my own home with a spiritual awakening. Coincidence? I don't think so. When I went to the pastor, I had certain things going on happening to me, physical things happening to me on my body, marks on my forehead, crosses that were showing up. And I showed it to the pastor. And he said, you've been set aside. I go, I don't know what that means, but it scared the shit out of me and made me cry. And so he had to sit me down, because I remember going to church when I was a girl, and they said something about being set aside was not good, right? And so he explained to me that it was a good thing. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And it was on like Donkey Kong from there. And I went from there. And the first thing he said to me when I walked in is, he said, you found some peace, didn't you? I said, no, I found something, but I don't know what. I said, it's either psychosis or spiritual awakening, one or the other. And that's why I say there is some truth to it, about it. So first, let me say it's a process. It's a process, just like you learn something is a process. Each time you practice this and you try to, if you practice this, the emotions will lessen and lessen and lessen, and the thoughts will leave quicker and quicker without a physical response causing you pain or suffering. Your part is becoming more aware, staying forever present. Try to feel your inner body. Ask yourself, who's having the thought? Who's having the thought? Who's feeling this way? How does it make me feel? XYZ. Say it. Is it in my body? Can I observe it? Can you be the watcher of the thoughts? Can you observe the thought or the emotion that it makes you feel without having you react to it? It's just observe. Don't engage. Acknowledge how it makes you feel, how it makes you think, what it triggers, and then do what I've stated in the past. Walk it like a dog on a leash. And let that thought go as fast as it came. And it will. And you'll be surprised what'll happen is the thoughts will get less and less, and the emotions will be less and less. And you'll go, what the hell? Something's happening here. It's because consciousness is coming in and replacing the dark with light. And you're becoming more and more awakened. So your part is just to be aware. And don't beat yourself up if you think a thought and you respond to it like that. Just say, oh, okay, I did that. Yep, just know you did it. And catch yourself and say that's behavior. The minute you can do that, you know it's behavior now. Now it's behavior. The ego is going to die. The egoic self is going to begin to die. No, FYI, once the egoic mind realizes it's beginning to die, it's going to bark at you any way it can. Even sideways on Sunday. Just don't engage it. Stay conscious, stay present, breathe. People say, what's mindful meditation? I think there's some mindful meditation when you're talking about a practice where if you say, I want you to focus on the stars on the back of this card, and that's what I want you to be mindful of. Okay, that to me would be mindful meditation. That's not what I'm referring to. Okay, what I'm referring to is sit in the seat of your soul, right here inside oneness. Breathe properly if you can. When you inhale, you want your abdomen to be extending outward. When you exhale, it will go in. And it'll feel funny at first, but that's normal prana breathing that patients should be breathing like. Most patients chain stoke or breathe in a fight-flight syndrome sort of way. So if you can be mindful of the breathing, place your hand on your abdomen. And when you say take a deep breath, just practice and see if you can allow your abdomen to expel outwards, not inward. Because most people will inhale their stomach in when they're taking a deep breath. That is fight-flight breathing. You are going to be running on your autonomic nervous system, basically, and not you. So the best way to do it is to practice. And here's the golden rule. Your autonomic nervous system will kick on in 72 hours. Automatic. That's why they call it autonomic nervous system. Automatic. You show it, you teach it. It says, oh, I remember that breathing pattern. That's my normal breathing pattern. And it'll kick on. And you'll walk and you'll go, oh, shoot, I'm breathing normal now. And you'll notice the feel in your body. You won't feel anxious. You won't feel the CO2 buildup in your brain because you won't have to yawn as many times to expel it. I have talked to patients about this immensely. So stay present, be aware, try to staying focused on the present. Try to feel your inner body and then ask yourself those questions. Who is having this thought? Who is feeling this way? Who is making them feel XYZ? You want to answer those questions to yourself because it can't be you and another person in there, can it? It's you. It's all you. You're having the thought, you're having the emotion, and you're watching it. That's all you. It's all you. So in my body, just observe. Okay. And don't beat yourself up. If something triggers you and you respond to it, just say to yourself, hey, I just responded to that. And I know that's behavior and I caught it, and it will be lessened the next time, and it'll get less and less and less. So don't beat yourself up, because we're our worst own enemy, and we are creatures of habit, and we hate change. We don't want to change. We resist. And what you resist is going to persist. It's going to manifest. So observe it. Acknowledge it. Ask yourself, say, don't even act when you acknowledge it, just acknowledge how it made you feel. And then walk it like the dog. Keep in mind that these are influxes of energy patterns. Okay? Energy patterns, influxes of patterns coming and going, sensory input. It could be yours, it could be the neighbors, it could be the person you're with, it could be the collective. It could be a deep-seated conscious belief system you have that you don't even know you have. So it might not even be yours, right? So you don't have to react or respond to every thought that you're having, right? You don't have to. So keep in mind that these things are just influxes of energy patterns, and they may be yours and they may not be. They may be the collectives. They may be another person's. They might just be in your environment when you're walking in the grocery store. You don't have to engage every thought, do you? Thoughts are fleeting. I spoke to you guys about that and about the wind outside. Go outside. Go outside in nature. Sit in nature and ask yourself, look at a flower. Put your hands together. The one thing that people ask me all the time is with the Reiki, if you put your hands like this and then you pull them apart, you will feel something. And most everyone, when I do this, tell me the same thing all the time. That's energy. That's the energy, the invisible energy fields that you can't see. Reiki practitioners, intuitive psychics, they can see those invisible fields. And those are photons of lights, right? That's where two bands of lights are coming together. They've met their equal match, a negative, a positive. They come together, they poof, disappear. Now they've come out to two usable lights, usable photons. That's energy. If you look at an atom, how it divides, a cell, how it divides, how a newborn is born, it's all energy, right? So thoughts and your emotions, they're the same thing. They're influxes of energetic patterns, energy patterns, and you don't have to engage them all. I spoke a little bit about this. I'll speak a little bit more about it on another video. It's an illusion to the mind. It's an illusion in your mind. Some of the very first videos I did, that's that there is a habitual mind pattern that is a rampant disease in all sentient beings on this planet. And it's by no fault of their own, and they don't even know it. I didn't know it. That's why I had the awakening, because I didn't know. If I knew, I wouldn't have had it, probably. That's what everybody keeps telling me anyway. So I don't know. It's an illusion. The mind is an illusion, and it will trick you. And you are not your mind. You are not this body. You are not your thoughts, and you're not even your emotions. You are a multidimensional being having a human experience in this world. This world is a construct, a playground for us to grow, to love, to learn, to enjoy, to evolve together, to gain wisdom and prepare for the next level of consciousness taking place on this planet right now, because it's taking place. Trust me, it's taking place. There's just not a lot of sentinel beings not on this level that I can find. Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, Miracles, Course in Miracles, Marion, Michael Sanger. Those are the only people I can find. Buddha, Tibet, that have had that know what I'm saying. Okay. But I want you to remember, I told you in videos before, this planet is a big, huge construct, and it's your playground. And you are the actor, and you are the grip person, and you handle the costumes. You do all the hiring, you do all the firing, you do all the payments and the paying, and you do it all. Right? So how are you playing the game on the field? When you suit your child up for a baseball game, you get him the best mitt, the best hat and shoes and cleats, and you, so he can be right number one out there. Are you doing that for yourself? In this world as a construct, this is your playground. Are you building I don't know. What are you building? Right? What are you building? Are you building it the right way? Are you building it the wrong way? What's right? What's wrong? Nothing's right. Nothing's wrong. It's only what the mind says it is. It's quite profound. But there is a huge level of consciousness that's happening on this planet. It's taking place, which is a big full moon that's coming in on Taurus on May 27th. The planets are having a dance of their own about all this stuff, and they're speaking loud. And they're bringing awareness and awakenings to those that are ready, right? It's happening now, and we think we have forever to live and to grow and to play and to eat and to do all those things that we want to do, and we don't. When God starts knocking, it's generally because, even if you go listen to Eckhart Tolle and he speaks about it, he said not many people have the sort of awakening I've had. Maybe it's the way it came about, the amount of suffering that I was going through, because I'm telling you, I was seeking peace. That's all I was seeking was peace. I wanted somebody to give me a goddamn piece or a 5mm or something. Right? And I didn't care which at that point. So we don't know how long we have. No one has. No one knows, right? We are not in control. We think we are. We have thought that for so long. It's not until you become aware of this that you gain awareness that it's a process. It's a personal journey. It's a hero's journey. I'm walking it. And it's my hopes and my desires to assist other beings who may be walking on their journey or beginning their journey. And we can walk it together, because we're going to meet in the center, because we're no different. It's oneness, consciousness, oneness. You're no different than me. You're no different than your creator. It's oneness, Buddha, God, our creator, consciousness. Whatever label you place on it is okay with me. To me, it's source, it's divine, it's consciousness, and we are oneness. There is no man in the sky with a beard who's going to atone me for my sins, that is going to open up the pearly gates of heaven. No. The other thing you're going to learn the minute you have this is there's a state of impermanence, and you will realize you're never going to die. This vehicle, just like your car, it's going to wear out, going to get old. Look, it's going to get wrinkled. It's going to get old. It's going to fall apart, and it's going to decay, and it's going to be ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But the essence of consciousness, you, who you are, the soul, you, the essence of you, you're never dying. Never. Never. So we don't know how long we have on this planet, and we do not have control of anything that's happening in this planet. Just look around you. I've talked about in my horoscope videos with the divinations and the astrology that this stuff is top down, man. Governmental top down. Saturn is going to be where he's at for a minute, and there's going to be even some more stuff going on. I predict even weather, earthquakes. Some other stuff's going to be happening, but it's not me. It's spirit giving me the downloads. So where's that coming from? Where am I getting that information? When I'm vibrating and I'm rocking and I see people's colors and their auras and spirits are talking or around me. What is that? That's energy. It's an invisible energetic field of energy that's invisible to you because it's invisible to you. You can't see it. You're not aware. Once you become aware, then you'll see it. It's like I no longer look at people or watch people. I watch energy. It's quite crazy. And there's no separation between you and I. Okay, that's the very first illusion our mind has, is that we're separate. I've discussed that in past videos, that the human race has an habitual mind pattern based on their core belief systems, their upbringings, their teachings. We are oneness. No separation. That is an illusion. They are all pseudo. People go, what's pseudo? False. Why do they use it as pseudo? Because in the nursing field, if you ever talk to a doctor, that's why if you talk to them about this stuff, they can't argue with this. How come a placebo works when it's fake? How come I can inject that person with saline and tell them it's morphine and their pain magically goes away? Pseudo. I made the patient believe. And if you have a belief and you believe it, it's manifesting. It's happening. It's law of attraction. It cannot not manifest. So thoughts and emotions, walk them like a dog, like I said. I walk mine on a leash, and I spoke of this method before and how to do it. And if you have any, other ways of doing it or analogies, I'd love to hear what you're doing, but I walk it like a dog. I use the analogy that if I'm walking down the middle of the street and I see a loose dog, but it has a collar on and a leash, I'm probably not going to engage him. I don't know if he's going to bite me. I don't know if it's a lost dog. I don't know what's happening. I probably am not going to engage it. I'll probably walk the other way and call maybe Humane Society or something, right? Same thing. The thought that I have, if I engage it, it's going to bite the shit out of me, and it's going to hurt and leave a bruise, and I'm not going to like it. And so I don't engage it. Don't engage it. See it, observe it, acknowledge its presence, how it made you feel, and now let the thought leave as quickly as it came in, before the feeling hits your emotions and hits your body, right? Because that's going to cause a reaction. and you're going to be off and going. And it's okay if you do, because you'll say to yourself, oh, I just behaved and responded and reacted negatively. Yeah, I did that. The next time, it'll be less severe. And the next, it'll be less and less and less and less and less. And let them leave as quickly as they come. The minute we identify with our thoughts and it creates an emotion within your body, it's usually too late by then, and you are generally going to be off reacting. The pain body can lay dormant until it is activated or initiated, okay? And that's where my story came into play. I have a very heavy pain body, and my pain body was not initiated or activated until Mr. pulled his last stunt. He knew he had an ultimatum given to him prior to that about the very same thing. And if he did, I was out. That's probably why his lips were shut and he didn't hear me and didn't see me. Ego. So the pain body can lay dormant. Know this until it is activated or initiated by someone triggering it. And you can see it manifest all the time. Let's say you have a senseless argument with your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, right? It comes up out of the blue. All of a sudden you're angry, you have anxiety or fear, just out of the blue for no reason. Now, it doesn't turn out very positive for both of you. You get into an argument, you go to bed upset, nobody says goodnight, everybody's mad, they go to bed, and words got exchanged and you didn't like it. It wasn't a nice exchange, right? People got hurt, they got their feelings hurt. Now you go to bed. You go to bed angry. That's the pain body reacting. You go to bed and the next day, let's say you get up now, you can't even remember why you were so upset in the first place or what caused the argument to happen in the original. You know, you're like, why were we fighting so bad? What happened? It could have been a collective influx of energy around you, or you could have picked up on an emotional response or reaction from an influx of energy with a person that's in your environment. It happens all the time. Look around, see, observe it for yourself, watch. It's hard at first. I understand that. And I realize it's easier said than done. Don't, when I give out this information, trust me, I know how hard it is, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. That's why I say it just takes vigilance. And anybody can be vigilant for 5 minutes, right? Take it upon yourself to take it apart and practice. Even if it's 3 to 5 minutes every day, it will change. It will be so profound. You won't know. You'll leave a comeback and leave a comment and tell me it's exactly what happened. The very fact that you're watching this video proves to you and shows me that there is already a certain amount of presence or consciousness that's present within you already, that's arisen, or you would have clicked off. I promise you. You would have clicked off and you would have said, I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know what she's saying. I don't understand any of it. That's a good sign that presence is growing within you already. Because without our awareness, our emotions are going to run us like the Judy Jetsons. Okay? You're going to get up and push autoplay. So try some of these methods. Be non-reactive. Maybe do what I do. Give yourself a count. Like if somebody triggers you, maybe count so many times in your head before you say something back to them. That gives you an opportunity to not be reactive and to think twice. Go within your body and see how you feel in the presence of oneself. Meditate if you can. I mean, people say, how long do I meditate? You can meditate for 20 minutes. You can meditate for 3 minutes, whatever it takes to get you there. But if you could shut your mind off and the voice in the head for 3 minutes every day, that's huge. That's huge. That's presence increasingly growing within you. And maybe decrease your social media exposure. That kind of contributes to the collective negativity. I've cut way down on social media. I've almost deleted my Facebook. If it wasn't for the soap shed, I'd probably get off all social medias, because all I need to do is click one post and I can see the egoic pattern of people. I mean, they're posting pictures of themselves, faces, or what do you call those? What do you call those? I don't even know what the fuck you call those. Selfies, right? And they're waiting for that thumb up, or it's like, that's deflating to the ego, I think, and it's demeaning to me. I don't understand it, but okay. But maybe decrease that social media if you can, because that can be damaging to your ego. I mean, if you find a picture of some woman who's really beautiful and she's your age and you don't have what she has, your ego is going to be dented right off the gate, right? So try to eliminate some of that if you can. That contributes to the collective negativity. Try and stay away from news and other basic information other than what you really need. Like, do I need to get my COVID shot? Is the county shutting down? Or what's the weather going to be like? Whatever you have to have for basic information for you that you need. Get out in nature. Look at the earth, look at the birds, look at the flowers, feel the wind on your face, blowing in your hair, on your body. Take your shoes off, ground yourself in the dirt or in the grass. You can walk 10 minutes. This is a proven fact. Most people don't know it. You can Google it under any science book and it'll tell you. If you take your shoes off and you walk in the grass or even on the dirt or wherever for 10 minutes, it will maintain homeostasis and put you back into balance in 10 minutes. Shoes are the worst thing that they ever invented, those rubber soles, because you have no conduit to feel the vibrational energy from source. You can't feel the vibrational energy from source. Anyone that knows me, I never have shoes on. Never. When I'm working, that's it. Try to stay away from, I don't know, just anybody that's sucking you dry. Like, how do I say that in a nice way? You know, that one person that comes over and that just leaves you so drained by the end of the night that you can't take it anymore, and then you just need a nap after they're gone. Don't let someone take that kind of energy from you. Learn to set some healthy boundaries for yourself. Take some walks out in nature. And now you don't have to do all of these things every single day. You can take a nature walk one day in the morning, and you can do mindful breathing and just look at nature during your walk. Those are 3 or 4 things right there, just in your 10-minute walk. And just make a habit of doing that. Unearth your shoes, man. Take your shoes off. Get your bare feet in the park. Walk at the beach. Walk in a forest. Right? I don't know. I'm a nature nut. If I have my feet in water and in the garden, either in the outside garden or the garden in here, all the time. Thoughts and emotions are just like the Judy Jetsons living inside you. Remember I said that. And it's running your life. It's an entity that lives inside you and it runs you. And based off of those old beliefs you have, it creates thoughts and emotions, and those emotions cause you to respond, and it's usually negative, and it's a vicious cycle. A thought creates a negative emotion, and that negative emotion creates another thought, and it's validating that emotion. And it is like a biofeedback loop that's reinforcing itself over and over and over and over again. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I know it because I did it. And if it's unconscious, you don't even know you're doing it. That's why I'm sharing these videos, to assist you, because you don't know. So don't beat yourself up about it, right? You are not your narrative or your story. This has been a packed week of information, I know. I really do enjoy bringing it to you guys so much. I'm going to link some other videos for you. If you have questions, please reach out to me. I try to put the videos up according to what's going on, and emotion and thought is rearing its head out of my psychological body and my emotional body because I'm dealing with the ex in some final legalities. And so it's been triggering a little. And I just have to stay conscious and vigilant. And it's been hard. I know it's hard. Ask me, I'll tell you. But it's worth it to do. So I know I've given you guys a whole lot of information. Sometimes it's scattered. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. And later, maybe it'll click in. But I appreciate you coming and spending the time with me and listening, because sometimes the information I'm trying to get out doesn't come out the way I want it to. And I apologize for that. But a girl is in the midst of the hero's journey herself. So it's not easy. So please be sure and check out the playlist under Cracked Wide Open if you'd like to see anything else. And if there's something that you want to watch, don't click it. If you're not ready to see it, don't click it, right? If you're not ready, it's okay. It doesn't mean anything. It just means you're not ready. So I'm Star Delta 9. It's really a pleasure doing this for you guys and sharing my journey with you. I may not get it right each time, and I am trying to hit the mark. And I am human just like everyone else is, and learning and growing alongside of you, each and every one of you. So I will see you next week for another video on Cracked Wide Open. Thank you so much for your subscription here to my channel. It means so much to me. Please share the content, because you don't know who's looking for some support during a spiritual awakening, and this may help them. Share it on your other social media places, or maybe if you want to come on panel and talk about something that's going on with you, or you're having a spiritual awakening. I would love to hear what you have to say and your view and your take on the situation, because I think when we work and or learn together, we grow together. And I don't know what's all this stuff, guys. I don't. I'm learning just like you, and I'm growing along each and every one of you. And so I would love it if you leave comments below, and take care of yourself during this COVID. I know some of the cities are closing down again, and there's a spike on some of the cases. So try to stay away from social media. Thank you for that, P-Win. P-Win, that's so sweet. Comment below. Take care. And I will see you guys next week on another video of Cracked Wide Open. Look at that. 11 in chat. 11 thumbs up. I love it. I love it. P-Win, thank you so much for the donations for the channel. I apologize I wasn't able to see chat. I'm going to try to figure this damn Mac out. See? Patience. Girl, get it. Namaste.